Hey YouTube, what's up? Steve here, and welcome to the madness that is wiring up the unicorn. So I'm pretty close to being finished, or at least I was. I had everything all hooked up. It was all, everything was turned on. It was shining bright. It looked amazing. But I couldn't get this top chest piece and the bottom section together because there were just too many wires in the chest. This is actually my second attempt at this. The first one would be titled How Not to Wire Up the Unicorn, but since I now need to go through and rewire everything just to make more space, I guess I'll start over. So let's get to work. So I wanted to show you how I'm going to power this. So this is the hip section. If I can find the other piece. So this connects like so. And this is a little Molex connector. And that's going to connect to this piece, like so, and that's going to be attached to like the front part of the action base. And if I could find it, there. This is the action base peg, which will just clip on to there. So as you can see, that's how that's going to work. And I'm just going to connect everything to these two wires. And that's how I'll power it. Pretty simple. I'm not going to run the wires through the action base like I did the Age 1 normal, because that kind of limits the range of motion of the action base. So instead I'm going to just feed these wires through this wire braid, which looks a lot nicer than just wires, and I'll just wrap it around the action base so it looks good. And that way I could actually possibly take the unicorn off the action base and kind of display it lit without being on the action base. So I'm gonna have to make this removable somehow from the action base. So I'll work out how to exactly to do that later when I get to it, but that's how I'm going to power it. Okay, so I have added a resistor for the thruster LED, the blue one, right there. And just run that wire up through there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two red wires, which are ground, for both. So how I'm going to combine it is, you can see that resistor there. That's for the red LEDs that are in this leg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ground wire for the thruster LED, and I'm going to solder it on above that resistor. So electricity will flow through here and then split to go through this wire and then through this resistor to that. So if that makes any sense. So this is kind of tricky to do. Just going to go ahead and trim that to a good length. Hopefully that's not too short. That'd suck. Alright, so what's going to happen is this other red wire is probably going to fall off. But anyways, did. It looks pretty good. What you don't want is this resistor to be shorted out, which means both of these sides of it are connected without going through the resistor, if that makes sense. So that looks good. Hopefully it's strong enough so it's not going to break. It is kind of tight in there. Let's see if I can't make a little more space. Yep, that'll work. And there you go. Alright, so I've got this all wired up again. Feeding up the wires through there, taking that yellow wire, soldering it to that black one over there, separating the two, and I've combined them into one wire here. And what I need to do is I need to figure out which white wire goes to the single LED in the chest, or in the crotch area, and separate that one because it needs to continue on to another series, but I can combine the other three once I figure out which one's which I'm pretty sure it's this long one, but actually no, I'm pretty sure it's this one. Oh no, I'll have to figure that out. But what I wanted to do next was drill my new hole in here. And how I'm going to choose that spot is I'm going to use this chest piece and just line it up where it's supposed to go. And drill a hole on the outside of that center guard, or center like bar piece. Alright, so I've got a good idea where that is. And let's just check. So I don't think you can actually see where that drill is, but it's on the outside there, so pretty happy with that location. Hopefully the hole is big enough. Probably not, but could always make it bigger later. Alright, the same's going to go for the other side, but I'm going to move on to figuring out which one of these white wires goes to that LED. And to do that, I'm just going to take a 3-volt battery, and connect the negative side of that to this negative here. So that's not enough power to power any of the other series, but it will power that single LED. So strip that one, assuming it still works, which would really suck. So that's that one. I'm going to go ahead and mark it with a marker. And I'm going to go ahead and combine the other 3 white wires. Alright, now that I've got the section all hooked up and working, which I'm really happy about, I'd hate to have to go back and redo any of that. Switch the light back on. Now it's time to get to work on redoing the side skirts, which sucks. I don't want to do it. So I'm simply just gonna go through and disconnect each of these little solder joints. There's 1, 2, 3 of them, and then I should be able to just take off all of the pieces. And from there I'll put one resistor into one of these, probably this one because it's closer to, wait, I don't know, I'll figure that out. And then I'm also going to put a resistor in for for these two, and where I'm going to put it is, I think, in here. Oops, you can't even see that. On the other side of this, between these two pieces, I think. And I honestly don't know if there's space. I mean, there's space down here, but I'm not going to run a wire to there, so it has to be somewhere in there. If there isn't space in one of these, what I could do is put the other resistor, or that resistor, into the other one of these, and then run additional wires through there. We'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart. Hooray. So there's my resistor, and I think I can get it in there. It's going to be a tight squeeze. So I drilled another hole over here. Oops, you can't even see that. I drilled a hole there. Then I'm just going to feed this wire through if I can. There we go. And this wire is going to go through the same hole we went through before. And can't even see that. So I was able to get a resistor in here. It wasn't easy. I don't know if you can see it between that little gap there. Fortunately, I had to run a wire over this peg, but I got it in there and it's secure. And the front section was pretty simple. Again, you can sort of probably not see it in there, but there's the LED and then a resistor like right next to it. So the only problem is I wish I had done this on the other side, just because of the side that the red one, the negative one, is on, is where I want to put that black wire, and this is on the opposite side. But that shouldn't be a problem. So with that being said, I'm going to reassemble the skirt armor. It's relatively easy. Alright, so I finished assembling the side armor pieces. It's relatively easy. I'm sorry I didn't show you. You just basically go from one to the other, going positive to negative all the way around. And the last two you'll have the negative coming up here and the positive from this one up there. Pretty simple. And what I've done is combined the negative from these four and the negative from the two thruster ones here, so it's all one wire, and same on the other side with the positive. Yeah, this is a huge improvement. Before I had, what was it, like 14 or 16 wires coming up through here and 2 resistors. It was a real mess. So this is a huge improvement. The last thing I'm going to do to finish up this section is apply a little liquid electrical tape. It's not really necessary, but I'm just going to, just to be safe. I'm not anticipating having to take this apart, so I've already applied a little bit to that, which connected the two thruster LEDs. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a toothpick and apply a little bit. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's dangerous. I don't want to get any of it anywhere else because it's going to be hard to clean up, so I'm just going to do it off camera. And I'm going to stop here and move on to the rest. Thanks for watching, and I'll have the next part up pretty soon because I'm gonna keep working on it and filming, so the next part up should be up in a few days, I think, at most. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you then.